Recreation number 2, conscious eating. This is the most important recreation for you to be able to transform your relationship with all of life. It is the most intimate relationship you will have with anything. It's there from the very beginning to the very end. And if you can transform your relationship with food, you will transform your relationship with life. Why do we call them recreations? Recreations are fun, and the root of the word recreation is recreate yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to have fun recreating ourselves. Your life is a series of moments strung together over a lifetime. We want to predictably, quantifiably add more passion, more energy, more focus, more attention on the present moment. This is a form of mindfulness, mindful meditation. It will transform your life, and the benefit is it will not take any extra time. And all these recreations are related to all aspects of life, all the other recreations, and we'll see how they interweave with each other. What is the purpose of food? The evolutionary purpose of food is for energy. Now, we enjoy food as an evolutionary benefit, so we would seek it out. However, food has become the most common way we fill a void. When you're hungry, it creates a void, and you relieve that hunger by eating. Well, here's the problem. Here's why 74.1% of the U.S. population is obese or overweight. It's because emotions also create a void. And if you eat food to fill an emotional void, what will happen is this will create problems. And here's the void. So food does 3 or 4 things that I don't think anything else does better. It immediately fills a void. Food offers consistency. We have these 2 dynamic urges. One is consistency, one is variety. It is always there for you. And what has more variety than food? And if you grew up in an Italian household like I did, it has a lot of social and love benefits attached to it as well. The first thing I want you to consider is your relationship with current reality. Let's say your current reality is that you're 200 pounds and you feel like your ideal weight is 150. Well, that 200 pounds is current reality, and that's the only number we want to look at. If you get emotionally involved with that current reality, meaning if you start to say to yourself, oh, I can't believe I gained 50 pounds. I can't believe I went out with this guy who was eating beer and pizza every night. I stayed with him too long, and I'm fat, and I'm a slob. All that stuff is irrelevant on this creative process of conscious eating, right? So we want to have a healthy relationship with current reality. The next thing we want to look at, we're going to talk more about this in conscious thinking, is what are the questions you ask yourself around food? Why can't I lose weight? Well, your perfect brain that's got more oxygen from current breathing is going to give you, conscious breathing is going to give you an answer to that question. And those answers are going to keep you stuck in your current reality. Why am I such a fat? All those things have to stop. Why can't I lose weight has to stop. Then finally, what we want to do is we want to look at, okay, the conflict that's created around food. And I'm going to get back to this tension, this hungry filling a void. So when you're hungry, it builds a tension inside. This is a survival mechanism. This is not something we can avoid. So it builds up this void, and the only way to relieve that tension is to eat. Eventually, if the tension builds up enough, you'll do anything to relieve the tension. Now, we talked about emotions creating a void. Well, emotions actually create a void. Depression is a void. Anxiety is the void. Loneliness, boredom. Food was not meant to fill an emotional void. It was meant to fill a physical void. But we use food to fill this emotional void, And that is what unconscious eating is. And that's again why 74.1% of US citizens are obese or overweight. How do you lose weight? Well, there's many ways, but the most common way is to not eat. So picture this. Tension resolution mechanism, hungry, eat. Tension resolution mechanism, overweight, don't eat. So here's the conflict. Hungry, eat, overweight, don't eat. How do you eat and not eat at the same time? What you end up doing is you end up getting into this downward spiral of conflict management. This is one of the most common things in human nature. This drains our energy. It is something that has to stop. And I'll tell you this, without this knowledge, I don't think it's possible. It's very, very difficult not to become a conscious eater, okay? What are the three mechanisms we use in conflict management? The first one is conflict manipulation. The classic example of conflict manipulation is yo-yo dieting. Let's say you have a wedding coming up in 6 months and you want to lose 20, 30 pounds. All right? You go on the grapefruit diet, the red diet, the green diet, whatever. Decrease the tension to eat. So you manipulate the conflict, you don't eat or eat much less for 6 months. What happens when the wedding's over? The opposite tension comes into play, and then you tend to overeat. And the definitive guide of alternative medicine says that most people, 97 and 99% of people that go on a diet, in a year will have gained weight. Number two is willpower manipulation. Willpower is an interesting study. We look up to willpower in this society, but in my opinion, it doesn't work, because here's what willpower really is. There's one part of my personality, one part of my being that wants to do something, and the other part that doesn't want to do it. So I'm constantly in conflict with these two aspects of who I am. And if you're good at willpower manipulation, you're going to notice these people have giant swings in their life. And I've actually experienced a little of this myself. Finally, the worst place to be is conflict avoidance. People have this, they get old, they make excuses, they live in this narrow range. They're going on a vacation, they lose 5 pounds, and then they gain 10 on the vacation. Their jeans get tight. And have a healthy relationship with current reality. Your weight is just a number, right? Ask yourself empowering questions. How can I achieve my ideal weight and enjoy the process? Remember, food was not created to fill an emotional void. It was created for energy. And now that you understand these conflict management mechanisms, you will transform your relationship with food. This emotional eating, most people come by it honestly. Let me give you an example. When you're a child, your mother has difficulty understanding or thinking, she doesn't really know, she's nervous about how much food you're eating. So just to be safe, what they typically do is give you emotional encouragement to overeat. And this is where it all starts. There's many, many feedback loops in our society about emotional eating. However, we're not going to look to the past, we're going to look to the future, because you're on a journey of expansion. We want to expand your relationship with food. Here's the other thing about food. It can become your relationship of last resort. In this modern society, you can have your food delivered, you can work on your computer, you can withdraw from relationship with family, life, society. The only relationship you will permanently and intimately have is your relationship with food. And here's the beauty. It fills two basic human needs better than anything else on the planet. It's consistent, it's always there, and it offers tremendous variety. These two dynamic urges, consistency and variety, you need to monitor that in your life with food, relationships, everything, because it determines a lot of your behavior. And finally, a lot of people have social, another two dynamic urges, love and recognition. Food, for a lot of people, it's a family activity, it's a love activity. right from when you first started eating, when you were a baby. So, all right, let's get conscious around food. And I don't want this to become an overwhelming task because it can become overwhelming. But you got to start asking yourself, when do I eat? Why do I eat? You have to start to watch your thoughts, feelings, and actions around this entire process. Do I eat at certain times? Do I eat because I'm hungry? Do I eat because with friends? Do I change my activities to eat? Am I always thinking about food? Do I think about it when I'm driving down to see certain restaurants that I'm in? Food can really overwhelm your life. And what you want to do is you want to start to notice and you want to start to have a healthy relationship with food. Because if you have emotional voids, the most common way to immediately fill them is with food. All right? Loneliness, boredom, depression, etc. Food was not designed to do that. So let's take an example from life. Well, actually, Wallace Wattles had The Science of Eating, and he recommended that you chew your food to a liquid. Now, this is really an interesting thing to do. You should actually try it. Number one, what it does is it breaks your pattern around eating because many people eat very fast. They have what's called a completion strategy. They see something in front of them, and completing things is great in life. It's not always a good idea with your food. And what he says is chew your food to a liquid. Now, try this with certain foods that are kind of bland, and if you do it, they'll taste great eventually. And certain foods that you really like, if you chew them to a liquid, oh my goodness, they get awful. So just do things to break your pattern. Now, there's many people here who talk about breaking your pattern. What I want to do is I want to get into the thoughts, the conscious thinking around food. And let me give you an example. This is a great example. Let's say you had a long day. Bored, tension, nerve, it's a rough day. You want to reward yourself. And the strategy you use is a pint of ice cream. A pint of Haagen-Dazs or Ben & Jerry's, whatever your favorite ice cream. So what do you have to do? Now, the great thing about food is there's a lag phase. The time from the idea of eating to the actual physical reality of eating, there's a big space. Unlike your thoughts, okay, which you have to monitor in real time. We'll talk more about that in conscious thinking. So, all right, middle of the week, Wednesday night, you had a long day, stressful, you want to reward yourself with a pint of ice cream. What you have to do is you have to get out of your chair, go out in the cold, go into your cold car, get to the 7-Eleven, buy it, get home, and then eat it. So what do you say to yourself when you're sitting in your chair? When you're getting in the car, when you drive, are you beating yourself up there on the way already because, okay, I can't believe I'm doing this again? Do you feel embarrassed because you've been at the 7-Eleven 4 times this week? Do you come home and eat the entire ice cream? Do you eat half of it? Why did you eat half versus the whole thing? And how do you feel, and this is what almost nobody does, how do you feel 15 minutes later? How do you feel 30 minutes later, an hour later? How do you sleep that night? Because you want to get conscious around the effects of these foods. Ice cream is a great conscious tool. Here's why. Ice cream molecules are one of the largest things you're going to eat. And for you to digest them, it has to suck water. It creates what's called an osmotic gradient in your intestines to suck water into your intestines for you to be able to digest and eliminate it. This is not a comfortable process. It dehydrates you. It creates sugar spikes, fat spikes. Notice how you feel the next day. Potato chips are another good one. A lot of salt, a lot of fat, a lot of carbohydrates. You don't want to sleep on a bag of potato chips. And let's say you watch this video. Remember we said we want to have a healthy relationship with current reality? Let's say you watch this video and tomorrow you go out and get a pint of Haagen-Dazs. It's okay. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with eating a pint of Haagen-Dazs. What you have to ask yourself, is it consistent with who you are and who you want to be? Is it consistent with your vision of ideal weight? Okay? Will this give me energy or will it take it away? Is this consistent with my ideal weight of 120 pounds? And so once you start to notice, once you start to break into the patterns, once you start to ask yourself empowering questions, you can transform your relationship with food. So there's nothing, again, there's nothing intrinsically wrong with eating a bag of potato chips. The real question is it consistent with who you are, who you want to be in terms of conscious eating and your ideal weight? Summary. Food fills an immediate void. Okay? Food was not meant for emotional reasons. So what you want to do is you want to have a healthy relationship with current reality. You want to start to ask yourself better questions. You want to go and get conscious around the entire eating process, and you will transform your relationship with food and all of life.